Like, I don't know. I should scroll through and just look for somebody to give me a thumbs up for something they can name that is not pollution and not ripping down the rainforest. Something different than that. Nothing. Oh, Bella Callahan's got one. Bella Callahan, how are things?
Good.
Good. How you been?
Pretty good. I'm tired.
You tired? Of you wake up at 11 just to watch these?
Huh?
I said you.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Here's a question for you. We're not talking about ripping down the rainforest. We're not talking about dumping chemicals or any kind of pollution. Do you know another way in which humans have messed up the environment?
Does it have to do with like the oceans and
What
like
about it?
all the fishing nets and stuff like that, or no?
What's that?
Like the oceans and like the fishing nets and like.
Ooh, mutiny. Yeah, that's a really good one. Here, let's go with like overfishing, like taking too much out of the environment. That's number 4. You got the number 4 answer. Very good. Number 4. We're going quick through these. I want to be done in 35 minutes, and we're hopefully should be done before that. Direct harvesting. This is number 4. Right now, of course, we can't say killing too many. We can't say killing too many fish or catching too many fish. That makes us feel terrible about ourselves. So we gotta say direct harvest. All right, direct harvesting would mean directly. Oh, sorry, would mean directly taking things out of the environment. So let's see what we got here. Our first one is going to be. Oh, how sad is this? I don't know what this lizard is. I don't know what this lizard is, but it looks like they killed a whole bunch of them. I mean, that's not like they killed 1 or 2 lizards. I don't know what they're killing them for. The Tasmanian wolf has been hunted out of it into extinction, and we call that. I'll write this down. We'll just write down over. Well, I can't say it. Let's say this overhunting. Overhunting is a problem. This is underneath number 4, by the way. If you're wondering where we are still under number 4. Not like it really matters where you put these. It's if you rank them in different spots. I guess the only big thing would be to make sure that number 2 goes where number 2 goes, because it's got 4 different things, 4 different sub problems in there. But overhunting is an issue. Just killing too many things is a problem. Overlogging, like strip logging, is an issue. Like if people go through and they take out too many trees, that could be a problem. Unless they're replanting them. If they're replanting them, that's fine. That's actually okay. Another one which is really weird, this one's like a sad one. Like if you have a bird in a bird cage, you don't need that to live. Like if somebody is killing something, but they're eating the tissue, then they're still using it for food. Or if they're wearing the fur, I know, like, I don't agree with fur. Like, I don't think that fur is a necessary thing. Some people are like, fur is murder, and like the big PETA thing. I'm not that severe. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But if you're wearing it, I don't know where you stand on that issue, but guess what? If you're wearing it, you're still using it. But these are things that people don't need. Like, you don't need a zebra skin rug. You don't need alligator shoes. I guess alligator shoes would work, I guess, right? But what we call this, and this is kind of sad, is exploitation. And exploitation, this is still underneath number 4. And number 4, exploitation means when you kill for a frill. And a frill means something frivolous, like something you don't need, but I want it. So I have my picture here of the elephants. Actually, the good news, if you want to like a little smile, like something for humans that are doing things better, I believe almost all circus companies have gotten rid of elephants in their show. They're not using elephants in their show anymore, but I'm sure you guys are aware that this still goes on, the poaching of elephants for ivory. Now, ivory would be used for jewelry. Ivory would not be something you would need to have. It's not like people are eating ivory. So this would be killing for a frill. And you can tell this is a real bad hack job. Right here, this is a bad hack job. I'm not sure if you know, but there's a lot of tooth that's actually underneath that tissue line. So people who really do kill these elephants don't just hastily do this. You can tell that this was a real quick job. Somebody had to get out. They killed the elephant. They took what they could, and they had to get out of there before they got caught. But I will show you. I do have to show you a picture real quick. If this is a warning. These are pictures of animals that have been massacred for ivory. They are going to be very tough to look at. If you don't want to look at it, I'm sure your cell phone's nearby. Look at your cell phone for a second, because this is going to be a little bit difficult to take a peek at. But if you take a look at what they did to the elephant right there, and what they do to that rhino right there, it's pretty severe. I mean, obviously that's very grotesque, but that's how they get as much ivory as they possibly can. It's disgusting, and if you chose not to look at it, good news, I have clicked off of it, so you don't have to look at it. All right, we're down to the last two. The number one and the number 5 reason humans have messed up the environment. Anybody got any answers? We got pollution. Oh, wait, who's this? Who are you? Oh, it's Haley Bassett. Haley, can you hear me? Wait, I can't hear you. Hold on. Haley, can you hear me now? Can you say something? Oh, I can't hear you. I'm going to have to keep scrolling. Anybody else got one? Ways humans have messed up the environment? No? Okay. I'll give you the number 1 and number 5 reason. Okay, you ready? Let's go number 1. Number 1's real easy. We'll take care of it real quick. Overpopulation, basically meaning if there's too many humans, then what we're going to have is the issues below are going to be magnified. Meaning if we have more people, we're going to have more pollution, we're going to have more hunting, we're going to have more houses being built. That's our number 1 problem, is that the more humans we have, we're bad for the environment. So the more of us there are, the more demands. Look, the more humans we have, the more garbage we're going to produce, the more toilets we're going to flush, the more waste we're going to produce, the more farmland we're going to need. It's just a big issue. So number 1 is overpopulation, and let's do the last one real quick. I'm going to click to the front and go to the last one. And the last one is one that it's crazy. I know this, you're probably not expecting this, but you need to star this one. All right, you got to star number 5, even though it's the number 5 issue. It's the one that they test on the most. So for example, it's probably not the worst thing, but it's the one that the AP exam asks for the most, and it's the one that TC3 will ask for the most as well. It's called imported species. And what imported species mean is we are going to have, I got to write this in, we're going to have a non-native species out-competing native species. This one's usually a pretty easy one to go over because we've already taken, I'm so sorry it's written so terribly. It says non-native species out-compete a native species. I'll walk through it real quick and then we'll call this a day. I'll give you guys a second to finish writing. I see some people are still looking up, looking down. And we're at 11:27. If I can keep this to 11:30, that would be awesome. So this slide I've shown you guys just before we left. We talked about this when we talked about our related species. We said that they reproduce quickly. We talked about imported species for like exponential growth, things that explode and kind of go up quite a bit. So I showed you guys Japanese beetles. We talked about Japanese beetles. I talked about purple loosestrife. I talked about I didn't talk about the gypsy moth too much, or the zebra mussel. I do have a really good video that goes over this as well. It's a cartoon. It's really well done, and I'm going to post that when I post my eutrophication video. But zebra mussels we talked about being out of control, and they just can outcompete. And so, for example, like if you look at this purple loosestrife right here, it grows crazy awesome in August, but it's choking out native species. Things like cattails and things like that are having a harder time surviving. So number 5, if I can back up here, number 5 is the one, like I can tell you right now, when you take your test on Friday, there'll be a lot of questions that you've never seen them before. They talk about like a lionfish, or they talk about some plant or something like that you've never heard of, but it's growing out of control. And they always say it was brought in from somewhere else. Just know that it can outcompete, and it can decrease diversity by just growing a lot of itself. So that is pretty much all I have for notes. I think we took care of everything on that sheet. Anybody have any questions? Any questions on anything so far? No? All right, well, I'll keep this short. I feel like I have had a lot for you guys to do lately. So just so you guys know, just to kind of recap everything, I will be on tomorrow. You don't have to go on tomorrow, but I will be on tomorrow doing review. If you're like, well, I don't want to